Hey guys, this is Mauisnake, and today I'm going to be going over ZywOo's worst game ever. I don't really do negative demos or demos where players do badly, but I felt like this was just such a huge exception to the rule that I had to just do it. I had to see it for myself. How does ZywOo only get 2 kills against Complexity? I actually already watched this demo back, I watched the game back, and was able to see a little bit of it, so I'll show you guys here what is just going down and why ZywOo doesn't have even a solid game, not even a mediocre game, a horrible game, a terrible game, the worst game of his career. Enjoy, or don't, if you're a ZywOo fan. Alright, so here on the pistol, we've got ZywOo. Yes, I will be flipping between the two as I feel, as I please. And he'll be making his way towards long with the rest of his team. Blame F is just nailing everybody, and that's it. Nothing really to talk about. ZywOo actually just dies to Blame F. Just good headshots from the in-game leader of Complexity. So, second round here. ZywOo is on the deagle, uses his flash early on to push off anybody that may be peeking him from the steps. Poison does fall off the angle because of that flashbang, and now ZywOo just making his way up long. They're in good trading procedures. Doesn't quite hit the shot on a Blame F. Really tough. And I know we expect everything out of ZywOo, but doesn't quite happen there. And this time around, ZywOo, he oddly suspects that a player is going to peek up forward, but despite that, pulls his knife out as he scales, and I feel like ZywOo just kind of lacked a little bit of focus here, in that he does a lot of damage to Poison. Actually, the kill is traded out, but he was already tagged up so much that Blame F is able to finish that kill. Next round is a Glock round, and I am just going to be zooming through this one. There's really not a lot to go over. He's just clearing out his angles, just jumping through things, and then he actually gets all the way onto A site, interestingly enough. And this is him just knowing that his team needs some kind of advantage, thinks he can catch off rush there, but doesn't have the perfect crosshair placement, plus the aim punch makes that one pretty much impossible. So finally, we'll see the first gun round for ZywOo here, and he'll be flashing towards the steps. Molly actually goes towards the party area, just a really nice Molly to take some space away from the CTs, but actually this round, Vitality is leaving ZywOo by himself towards A, and he does normally default towards A. This isn't really unusual, especially if he has a rifle, I would say. They really are okay with him just being this kind of lurk presence on that side of the map, as he usually can take care of players if they approach him. And if he has the op, that's actually in some ways even better. But he does just join up to it with his team. Masuda finds a kill on a Blame F, and ZywOo just swings around the corner. Actually has some time to work with his utility a little bit here, but he's just getting pressured, and you can see that Complexity aren't giving him any room to breathe. So, despite losing the previous round, ZywOo will be on an AK once again. He's just going to be on a solo lurk towards the A site here, and kind of waits here at Playground for just a little bit. Just really, honestly, not doing too much yet, but just taking his time, clearing these spaces out, making sure that if Complexity are set up in an advanced kind of position, that he would be able to catch them. Notice that he does that all pretty silently until he finally starts using his utility. And he's not really the win condition for Vitality in this round, as they're in a 1-1-3 sort of default, but he knows that just being the caliber of player that he is, it's not really in his worst interest to just try to go for fights such as this. Notice the way he actually quick switches to the knife briefly as he goes for that swing right there to give himself a little bit of extra speed if anybody's posted up on the angle. And this is just him overlooking an angle as Blame F is there to catch him out. Now we've got a half buy for Vitality. ZywOo will once again throw his flash towards the T steps to try to force a player off, and this time around he wants to find the trade onto Blame F. Nade there kind of slows him down, but Blame F's just playing close by the rock, and ZywOo actually finds his first kill. It's not going to be a familiar sight for him for the rest of this game though, as that is one of 2 that he gets. Throws a smoke, and that smoke right there actually is just kind of a lurk smoke at long. Notice that it doesn't actually have any effect as Complexity is already in front of it. So at this point, Complexity knows that the A play from Vitality was a ruse, as they are not actually taking that space towards long, and now they can actually play a slightly better defensive setup as Poison is rotating on over towards B now. And Rush, he's still really worried about this angle, but going back to ZywOo, he'll just be the player coming out of Monster as the rest of his team is already out short. He really takes his time with this one. He really kind of wants to make sure that they clear out this area together, or as the three, before he decides to show his presence, because it's just really strong if you're the one person on a pinch from a certain angle to just wait, and then you can go for a trade. If you die too early, then it's actually much easier for the CT in that sense to just tuck themselves into the position. So imagine if a player were right by that monster tunnel right there. The reason that ZywOo doesn't just run out and die is because now this person can play around the monster tunnel. They can funnel back into the space that the T's are supposed to control and make this a very awkward situation. So he actually is just playing his role here. It's not as baity as it may look. A little slow, I'll say, but not as slow as a hard baiter would do. This time around, ZywOo gets a flash off again towards the steps. And now he has his own op. This is the first round that he has an op on round number 7. So a little bit late to get it, although ZywOo is obviously been a very proficient rifler when he has needed to. It's nice to see that he actually gets that op out, run boost out to try to find an opening pick towards long. And you'll see that his teammates are scaling on forward, and actually they're going for a little bit of a double flash. One kind of bad flash, and then they throw a better flash. And what that'll do is that it'll sometimes, if there's a player in here, they'll turn away, or they'll be anti-flash from the first, or maybe they'll just be posted up on this angle. Then they'll look because they'll think, oh, okay, that position just got flashed now. I should check it out, because they're probably going to scale, but then they actually just throw another flash in the face of a potential person there. Just a good way to use utility and really make sure that those positions, even if people are in anti-flash, will be cleared out cleanly. Now ZywOo just moves away from A at this point, and this is where he gets caught off guard. He's kind of looking on the top of the smoke there, thinking someone's one-weighing it, but Poison actually just pushes in front of it, and that's actually kind of an off-meta play from Poison, I would say, but I think he has the boldness because BlameF is right here to go for a trade on top of that if he does fall. So ZywOo slouches at the top of connector in this round. Another round starts out with ZywOo making his way towards playground. This time around, he will be moving up long a little bit quicker, but then he interestingly just unscopes. And I think that the thing is that BlameF was fighting towards Fountain right there, in that BlameF was right here, and because he wants to go for the trade, he knows that he needs to unscope in order to swing out and rescope. So probably what we were about to see was unscope, swing, rescope, into the angle, take the shot, kill. But just with that timing that Poison had right there, it just catches him off perfectly. Round number 9, and ZywOo busts out the Deagle once again in a half-buy for Vitality, and Poison is just really imposing himself, and he is connected by his IGL in BlameF. He's able to take down ZywOo just between a crossfire, and ZywOo doesn't really recognize that. He was looking for the trade on the long player, but BlameF is just there to kill him. Another gun round here, and ZywOo actually decides to forego buying an op here. He could have bought an op with some lighter utility and full head armor, but instead just goes for this AK buy full utility and does a little bit of a right-click jump throw flash to just take some space there. Gets run boosted out by Apex. Notice, by the way, I mean, I say jump throw, it's not like he's using a jump throw bind. He is literally pressing spacebar or mouse wheel and then letting go of right click, by the way. Usually people don't have jump throw binds for letting go of attack 2. So they make their way up long. He throws a smoke now for bank, throws a molly for the right side of default, scales up with his teammates' flashes, and actually just kind of runs into some utility. Just really bad timing for him as he eats a nade and a Molotov from the side of complexity. So Vitality decided to go for kind of a more 2-1-2 sort of default. You'll see that he is joined in tow by RPK, and Poison will be holding that long angle. He takes down RPK. ZywOo, he's been labeled by Apex as the best trade fragger in the world, but in this game, doesn't really find too many. So Vitality are forced onto another half-buy here, as ZywOo is on the Deagle. He's got a flash and a smoke this time. And so in standard procedure, they jump out towards long. They don't actually go for the run boost, but Poison finds that kill onto Apex, and this is just really unfortunate lineup between him and RPK as they both swing out into BlameF's angle, and BlameF is just perfectly positioned in order to find both of those kills in quick succession. Can't even really fire a shot on BlameF. It's very difficult to trade when your teammate is right between you and your opponent. So now round number 13, we've got ZywOo here on the AWP again. He doesn't have much utility. He's having really poor success, so I feel like he's just kind of working between the two, even though he could have had a better buy. That last time when I mentioned that he had the AK in full armor, he decides that now is the time. And this is kind of just him getting caught by Poison. A really good peek by Poison that goes right under the crosshair of ZywOo. Almost perfect crosshair placement by ZywOo, but just a tad too high. And so a really just unexpected swing from Poison, and you can see that Poison does get the better of ZywOo a lot in this game, actually. In fact, ZywOo doesn't ever even kill Poison in this game. Round 14, and ZywOo is actually not going to be going up A for once. He actually makes his way through connector, and that smoke for the door actually helps him and his team in scaling towards Con. Notice that Complexity blew up the door right there, and if that's the case, it becomes very awkward to actually push towards connector because a player boosted towards the sandbags of B can actually spot your feet and just take you down for free. It's pretty much a one-way in a sense, but regardless of that, Vitality have some space towards long. Perfect flash by Rush to set up Config, who's right around the corner. And it just feels like Complexity are continuously proactive in the right ways to counter Vitality and ZywOo. Last round of the half, and ZywOo says, screw it, I'm not going towards A anymore. He wants to just take the Puggy fight here towards short. This is really what every RWS Lord's favorite fight is on Overpass, and he is rewarded for it. Gets the kill onto Rush. Nice op shot there. And finally, he gets to flex a little bit, just plays outside of the system of Vitality for a single round, and he actually makes it work. Gets that one, now just posts up onto the monster angle, and Complexity recognized that ZywOo's op is somewhere in this angle, very likely, so they don't actually push into him towards monster. A good read from Complexity to not peek him out right there, but they actually made a play towards short, and ZywOo now, he just continues to pressure onto this monster position, and just waits for this play from Vitality to develop. And you'll see that actually the real point of contact is towards short on your radar. Masuda tries to go for the trade, but doesn't quite find it. And Complexity with some really good kind of mid-round aggression there, in that they're able to secure that position. But they then rotate away from B, and that's going to be a tough situation for them. However, JKS is still here on the bomb site, and he's going to be able to take down Apex and just immediately takes down ZywOo. There was no chance for ZywOo there. So heading into the second half here, just wanted to remark on what went wrong for ZywOo there in the first. It was more or less a combination of great aggression timings from Complexity in the name of Poison and Blame F, primarily towards A, and the fact that really just some unfortunate spacing at time and not really having the right weapon for a couple of the jobs and opportunities that ZywOo had made this a lot more difficult. Wouldn't really say this was too much of ZywOo playing carelessly or missing too many shots, although there are a couple that you can point at for why he just doesn't find the frags that may have actually given him a better rating and made this not the worst game of his career. But all in all, it was some really great play from the side of Complexity there on CT side, and it felt like Complexity may have expected this map to come out from Vitality, and they just had a really solid game plan. But we'll see here in the pistol that the flash comes out towards Monster, and Vitality are just trying to make a play here, but Complexity just hard read this. But ZywOo tries to go for the aggressive play, try to find some better positioning. You know that he either wants to push in that kind of circumstance or actually just slot himself here so that he can probably lock down any kind of late monster play coming out from Complexity, but they were just waiting for him. And it is so rare to see two players waiting here on a pistol round, and ZywOo just was not expecting that. So, second round of the half, ZywOo busts out the scout here. Flash comes his way. He actually dodges it just in the way that you would expect a player of his ability to, but no one will actually challenge him on the angle, and now he's going to have to play a little bit of rotate strike with the scout, and it's just so impossibly difficult to try to get a scout involved. Doesn't matter how good you are. If you have to rotate towards B with an op or a scout, a lot of times teams will just call for the save. But down 14-2, I mean, ZywOo knows that if they want to win this game by any means, he needs to just do something out of this world, get himself going, but he just misses the shot onto JKS. That little bit of aim punch and the fact that JKS crouches makes that really tough for ZywOo there, as he exposes just barely the right side of his body there, and that's just enough for JKS. So, final round in the game, and ZywOo goes for a smoke towards Fountain, flashes on top of that, makes his way down connector. The Molotov is here to meet him so that he can't actually take great position. And Rush, with a great smoke, is just going to mitigate the presence from ZywOo towards Khan at this point in time. Now, Shox and ZywOo are between a couple of tough positions right now, and that ZywOo has to continuously hold now the top of Khan, expecting that there may be someone from Complexity who will reverse clear it from the top. But now it just goes through the door, and Rush, he was just waiting on the lurk there, and that will be the end to ZywOo in his worst game ever. 2-17, 2 assists, 28 ADR, only 33 utility damage, and 5 enemies flash. We'll pull up the scoreboard here for this game once again, but that's going to be it. You'll see that he actually was dropped by Config 3-0, JKS 3-0, Poison 4-0, and the only 2 kills he got were on Blame F and Rush. And one of those was the very last round of the half. And just to break this down a little bit, it really just felt like ZywOo had to play within the system of Vitality for such a long time that it became very difficult for him to get involved in maybe the way that a more proactive player such as Simple would do. And, you know, that's a gift and a curse, that the structure of Vitality is solid enough that ZywOo can expect consistency out of his teammates and knows what kind of circumstances are going to probably present themselves to him in a round. But at the same time, it shows that if you aren't able to take the initiative that you want to in any given round, if you are, as Apex described in his Strapbook episode with Thorin, if ZywOo is just that soldier, that sometimes he's just going to die like a soldier, that he's going to just run into a battle that is a losing fight. And so you can see how that works against him here. Although, that being said, it's been a pretty good 2020 for ZywOo, and obviously he's still one of the best players in the world. This isn't meant to flame or strongly criticize. This was just a video to break down how ZywOo ended up in this circumstance. So thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Comment if you guys like this kind of change in the player analysis video saga. But as always, being toxic is the choice.